Corey Miller, also known as C. Murder, is innocent. And I'm going to tell you why. Before I explain my opinion, my theory, and my findings to you guys, let's review everything that I have shared with you guys and everything I recently learned, okay? So, part 1, I basically disclose who Corey Miller is, aka C. Murder, who he was, who he is, and what has happened to him. I disclosed that he was a popular hip-hop artist, rapper back in the day, back in the 90s, right? And he was also the author, an actor, a songwriter, and many other things, okay? He also is the younger brother to Master P. If you guys are familiar with that name, he is a well-known rapper, old school rapper back in the day as well. And he owned a record label called Low Limits. Corey Miller was part of that record label, and he was also part of a hip-hop group called True. And that's what I was disclosing in part 1. And I disclosed that he was convicted of murdering a victim named Stephen Thomas. 16-year-old victim Stephen Thomas. He was convicted with a life sentence. He is sentenced to life in prison because he was accused of murdering the victim, Stephen Thomas, 16-year-old Stephen Thomas, at a nightclub back in 2002. I believe around January 19, 2002, he was accused of murdering this victim. And January 19, 2002, he was accused of murdering the victim. And then excuse me, you guys, I'm referring back to my note. I want to make sure I have the date right. I do apologize for this. I just want to confirm I have the right dates before I disclose that. Okay. Sorry about that. I wrote a lot of notes, you guys. Yes, sorry. So I had it right. He was accused January 19, 2002, and he was sentenced to life in prison August 14, 2009. So I was correct on that. So he was convicted in 2009. He was accused in 2002. The reason why that time frame is like a huge time frame from 2002 to 2009 is because back in 2003 there was actually a first trial that he went through, but it was overturned by the judge because the prosecutor failed to tell the juror about the witness that they have about their background. So that judge at the time overturned that trial back in 2003, the trial regarding Stephen Thomas. The judge that actually overturned that case, I wrote his name down, so give me a moment, you guys. I refer back to my notes to make sure I have the correct name, correct dates, and the correct information. I do remember everything, but I just want to make sure I state the right information that I gathered. Interesting. Excuse me about that. Okay, the judge of 2003 Louisiana Supreme Court sorry. Okay, let me just say. There was a judge that I did see. I think it was Sasson. The last name is Sasson or something like that. Apparently, I'm not seeing her name, but the Supreme Court actually overturned that case. It was actually the Supreme Court, the Louisiana Supreme Court, that overturned that case back in 2003. Okay, so he did have a trial in 2003. That was the first trial. The second trial was 2009, where he was actually convicted you know, life in prison, sentenced to life in prison, 2009. So 2003 was the first trial, 2009 is the second trial. So we got that. Okay, but he was also accused with another crime, you guys, during this whole ordeal. Not only was he accused of, you know, murdering Stephen Thomas, months prior to all this happening, he was going through another court case of him being accused of attempting to shoot a club owner and a bouncer, and I wrote this information down. I did not know that. So he was actually had 2 charges against him, which he was dealing with that, and then when it happened when he was at a nightclub, and you know Stephen Thomas died, and he was at that nightclub at the time, he was accused of murdering Stephen Thomas within 3 months of each other. Like, what the heck? I'm like, dude, really? I'm like, they really trying to get this dude. Okay, so the crime that he was dealing with prior to all this happening, there was another crime that he was dealing with back in 2001. They said that he tried to shoot the owner and the bouncer at a Club Rags. That's the club name, Rags, right? The owner name was Norman Sparrow, and the bouncer name was Ronnie Williams. So, they claimed that he tried to shoot them because they wouldn't let him in the club. They wanted to search him before they let him in the club. And they claimed that Corey Miller got mad, and I guess it was like some type of argument that went through, and then they said that he put a gun on them and tried to shoot them, but the gun jammed. That's what they disclosed. So that was this happened in 2001. The first charge that he was dealing with, and he was behind bars because of this. I believe he was behind bars for like 10 years or house arrest. He was behind bars and house arrest because of this first crime. And he also was sued by these people because he was putting out music at the time, and these people, they kind of felt like that wasn't okay, that wasn't right, so they filed a lawsuit against Corey Miller, and he had to pay their money, $150,000, I believe. I believe that's what was the amount. But during this case, it was he pleaded no contest to this case because he said he didn't do this. Corey Miller said he did not do this case, that it didn't happen. But he had prison time. He had 10 years prison time, and he was on house arrest, right? Between this case and the 2003 case, he was on house arrest, right? 2009, he had a retrial for the 2002 case, which the retrial, he was convicted of murdering Stephen Thomas. Okay, hopefully you guys are following me here. Please, there's a lot of information with this because I did not realize that he was dealing with another case, another charge prior to all this happening, prior to him being convicted and accused of murdering someone. There was another crime that he was accused of, which was attempting to shoot a club owner and a club bouncer at a club called Club Rags. Okay, and he pleaded that he didn't do it. He pleaded no contest. So basically what that means that he didn't do it. But he got in prison time with that and house arrest. But I'm not sure if it's like, because it didn't really disclose, like, it wasn't really clear during my research if it was like he had prison time because of the 2002 thing, the first trial, or was it because of this? But either so, they dismissed it because he had prison time and house arrest, so they accepted that and left it at that. So 2009, when he got his retrial for the 2002 accusation of killing Stephen Thomas, he was convicted. Okay, so we all got that. Okay, so oh, I got it. I found the name of the judge who actually overturned the 2003 case. Remember I said the first trial for the 2002 accusation of him killing Stephen Thomas, there was a judge that overturned that case. So that's why it was like a retrial in 2009. So 2003, the judge who actually overturned that case was Martha Sasson. I remember the last name, but I did not remember his first name. But it was Martha Sasson. She overturned that case is because she said that the prosecutors during that case, 2003 case, failed to disclose to the juror about the witness's background. I guess the witness that they had, the prosecutor's witnesses, had a criminal background, and they didn't share that with the juror for whatever reason. So that is why the judge overturned that case, and that is why he was granted a retrial for 2009. Okay? So we got that review. Okay, so that's why I disclosed, and I disclosed in part 1 that there were witnesses that raised that I raised a lot of question on, and that had raised my eyebrow on, because these witnesses was inconsistent with their testimony. One, especially them now coming forward in 2018 stating that they lied on Corey Miller, that they falsely accused him of murdering Stephen Thomas. They claim that they were coerced and intimidated by the authorities who was investigating the case and by the prosecutor, the DA. They claim that they were coerced and intimidated by these people. So that's why they falsely accused Corey Miller back in 2003 and 2009. Okay, so these witness name was Kenneth Jordan and Darnell Jordan. I thought they were like related or there's some type of connection, but apparently no. They just happen to have the same last name. There's no relation. So that I could see and that I found out there's no relation. It's just they have to have the same last name, which I'm like, okay. I thought they were related because they had the same last name. But these two witnesses originally back in 2003 stated that Corey Miller is the one that shot Stephen Thomas and, killed him. That's what they stated, okay? And also in 2009, they stated the same thing. But in 2018, they came forward to the public into, I guess there was some type of documentary that was happening regarding Corey Miller's case and whatnot. And they was on that show, and they basically restated their statement and said that they falsely accused him because they were coerced and intimidated by authorities, which is the Jefferson Parsons Sheriff's Office and also the Jefferson Parsons District Attorney, the DA, the prosecutors. They were intimidating the witnesses. They were coercing the witnesses. That raised, an eyebrow to me, because okay, so there was some type of corruption going on. Corey Miller stated that too. He said there's corruption going on with his trial, with his conviction. All this is being covered up. There's a lot of things that's messy, that's dirty. So he kept claiming that. He kept maintaining his innocence throughout all this, throughout all the years. He's still incarcerated, right, you guys? He's still serving a life sentence in prison. And he has maintained his innocence to this day. He said that he did not commit this crime, that he has been falsely accused. He also believed that he's been framed and that there was a corruption going on during his trial, which I also believe that's the case based off my findings. Okay? So he believed that those who was investigating this trial was the one that was that's corrupt and that caused this illusion of him to be framed for this crime that he did not do. Okay, so that was part 1, is that I basically disclose who Corey Miller is, what he was and what he's being accused of, and the witnesses that raised a lot of questions to me. I'm like, okay, these witnesses, they are inconsistent with their testimony, and they came forward back in 2018 after everything has been finalized. His conviction has been finalized after he's been sentenced. Now they're coming forward in 2018 to change their story. I'm like, okay, so I already knew that something was up with the witnesses. And there was another witness, Denise Williams. I want to know more about her, but I couldn't find any more information based off. The only thing I could discover is what her testimony was and how she changed her testimony and how she lied about her testimony or whatever. What I know about Denise Williams, she was also another witness for the prosecutor, okay? She stated, the original statement that she stated, the original testimony, the beginning of the investigation, she stated that she witnessed the murder, she saw the shooter, and she named the shooter as Derek Taylor. I still don't know who the fuck Derek Taylor is. All I have is what she has stated, the original testimony, right? So that was the original testimony that everyone knew about. And then she later changed that testimony and said that she lied, that she did not witness the murder, she did not witness the shooter, and it wasn't Derek Taylor, it was Corey Miller. The reason why she lied is because she was afraid for her life. She felt unsafe. She felt like Corey Miller and his posse was going to retaliate if she speaks out. But there's no claims, there's no evidence to back up her claim. Okay, there's nothing to back that up or why she may feel unsafe. Yes, Corey Miller is a high-profile celebrity and whatever. There may be, there's talks that he was connected in with these gangs. Okay, but it still didn't prove anything that she was being intimidated by him or his posses. There's nothing that indicated that. So that was very strange for her to said that she lied in her original statement because she felt unsafe. And the person who said that the reason why she lied is because she felt unsafe. She was just intimidated by who Corey Miller was and who he's affiliated with, was a detective named Cogner. Detective Cogner. Let me get his first name, if I can get his first name. Give me 1 second. You guys, I'm thirsty. I gotta get my water. Hold on. You had to get something to drink, okay? But anyways, what was I disclosing? Yeah, so okay, sorry, you guys, what the hell? Denise Williams, yeah. So it was Detective Cogner. I want to get his first name. Make sure that I got his first name correct, okay? Give me 1 moment. 1 moment, please. Guys, I wrote a lot because I wanted to get as much information as I can, because this is really sad, like what he's going through. Like, half his life has been taken away from him. Like, it's ridiculous what he's going through. I don't have a first name. Like, this Detective Cogner. He's the one that was interviewing Denise Williams. He was interviewing the witnesses of that who was there that night, and he the one who interviewed the witness. He interviewed Denise Williams, and he believed why she lied is because she was upset and she just didn't feel safe, right? That's what Detective Cogner believed. So that's why he investigated more. Because he felt like she was being untruthful. So let me pause right there. Let me restate what I just said. She had an original statement. She said that she witnessed the murder, she saw the shooter, and she named the shooter as Derek Taylor. That was the original testimony that she had. But Detective Cogner didn't believe that she was telling the truth. He believed that she wasn't telling the truth because she felt unsafe. She was being coerced or intimidated by Corey Miller, also known as C Murder, and his posse. He believed she was being untruthful of her original testimony because she felt unsafe. Again, you guys, there was no evidence to back that claim. So why would he say something like that? And she wasn't even there at the court proceeding to be cross-examined by the defense team. So it was just based off hearsay at this point. So that should never have been disclosed. That should have never been stated. Like, she's not a witness at this point. She's not reliable. She's not liable. If you felt like she was lying at this point, it's like, why would you still use her as a witness? And why she wasn't called in? That's what I didn't understand. Detective Cogner, raised eyebrows to me. I'm sorry, my intuition is like looking at him sideways, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And then there was a witness. I didn't name him in part 1 or part 2, but he was one of the witnesses for the defense team, I believe. His name was Hashman Smith. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. He had stated that he believed that Corey Miller did not shoot Stephen Thomas, the 16-year-old victim, Stephen Thomas. He believed he did not murder him, even though he didn't see what happened as far as who actually murdered Stephen Thomas. But he saw like like Stephen Thomas, like he saw the fight. Okay, he saw the fight. So there was a fight. Okay, the night of the murder of Stephen Thomas, 16-year-old Stephen Thomas, there was a fight that broke out, right? And during this fight, there was one member out of that fight took it further and pulled out a gun and shot Stephen Thomas in the heart. Some witness stated that it was Corey Miller that they saw, but now they're stating that that wasn't the truth. They falsely accused Corey Miller. So I'm like, there's no witness. Everything is inconsistent with their testimony. So annoying. But anyways, Hashman Smith said that there was a fight that happened. Everybody know there was a fight that happened. But he believes that the reason why there was a fight that broke out because he saw Stephen Thomas dancing with the woman. Okay, he was dancing with the woman, feeling himself, whatever, and, they was enjoying the time. But apparently, there was a group of males, whatever. One of the members of the group of males felt some type of way because I guess that they wanted the girl or they was connected with the woman, whoever this woman is, okay? So they were connected to him, to the woman. So they felt some type of way that Stephen Thomas was dancing with her. So they started to jump him and beat him, They started to jump him and fought him. And then one of them took it too far, and they killed him. So that's what Hashman Smith believed actually happened the night Stephen Thomas died. But it was briefly stated, but nobody believed that. So, okay. So that's what that was some of the things that raised a lot of eyebrows to me was the witness, especially the inconsistency of their testimony. Another part that raised an eyebrow to me is the Detective Cogner. All he said was that, I just feel like she's untruthful, so it just led me to investigate even more. Like, what? There was no claim to even allow you... Okay. Anywho, him and the prosecutor, the DA. I'm trying to find the name of the DA, and I have not found the name. I think I did, but I'm not quite sure if that's the exact name. But it's the Jefferson Parsons District Attorney Office. They have something to do with this, and I'm going to tell you why. I might have to do this in part 2, guys. Yeah, I don't want this to be a long video, but okay. So it's the District Attorney, DA, the witness testimony that was inconsistent. The Detective Cogner, don't like him. This intuition saying no. And the prosecutor, my intuition saying no. I don't like them either. So what else is raising wrong? The woman. No one stated who she was, okay? Because Hashman Smith said there was a woman that Stephen Thomas, which Stephen Thomas is the victim if you guys are not catching up. Stephen Thomas is the victim, but actually who was murdered, okay? Stephen Thomas was dancing with a woman. I want to know who this woman is, because on part 2, when I did my tarot reading on camera, I said that I kept seeing a woman, about hush mouth, about someone having dirt on someone being shot, about people being paid off, a wealthy man, like, pay me, give me money and I won't turn you in. I kept saying that. Give me money, I won't turn you in. Whatever that meant, right? Because part 2, when I was doing my tarot reading, things just kept coming out. I'm like, okay. And the woman was presented. I'm like, who is this woman? She's being protected. But I don't know by who, and I didn't know who this woman is. The woman represents the girl who was dancing with Stephen Thomas, okay? So I want to know who she is. She raised a big eyebrow to me, especially when I found out. I got a channel message that ties everything together, okay? So let's go. So what raised the eyebrows to me? The prosecutor, aka the DA. There was a judge during this 2003 and 2009. Well, 2009, the 2009 judge. I didn't really care for him because I feel like he could have. This case should have been a mistrial. There was no evidence to sentence Corey Miller to life in prison, especially at that magnitude. Like it was just no evidence. All they had was a witness testimony that was inconsistent. Like in a jury conviction, a 10-2 jury conviction verdict, whatever. And I guess in the state of Louisiana, you have to have a 10-2 verdict for it to, I guess, for you to be convicted. Which I'm like, okay, I don't know how this works, but that's the case. But even so, it was just like the jury selection was off. The judge should have mistried this case. Corey Miller should never have been sentenced to life in prison because there was no evidence to put him to. There was no gun. There was no DNA. All they had was witness testimony that was inconsistent, and that's all they had was a witness testimony that was inconsistent. That's it. And he's serving a life sentence off of that. And like during the 2009 retrial, there was just a lot of things that was happening, and like the defense team for Corey Miller kept asking the judge, like, can you mistrial this case? Can you mistrial this case because of A, B, and C and D is not adding up. This is not right. But the judge kept denying their mistrial requests. So I'm like, okay, why? So that judge, let me get the judge name, child. It's a weird name. He had a weird last name, but I did get the judge name. The judge name was Hans Liggeberger. Hans Liggeberger. Okay, I can't pronounce his last name, so we're just gonna go with that. Okay, so he raised a question to me too. You guys, it might have to do part 2. It might close off, which I'm gonna be mad. But yeah. So he raised a question to me as well. Especially that woman, because there's no name. I don't get no name. I don't know who she is. Why she wasn't questioned. Why she wasn't interviewed by the prosecutor, the witness team, and the defense team of this woman. That because one of the witnesses said that he believes the reason why Stephen Thomas was murdered and he got beaten down by these people is because he was dancing on a woman that was connected to these people. So why wasn't she interviewed? That's just my question on that. So we got all that put together, right? That's everything. Because my tarot reading, it was just a lot of things that happened as well. What was coming out that raised a lot of questions to me. I'm like, who has dirt on who? Wealthy man. And I kept seeing the wealthy man being shot up. I don't know what that was about. It was just a lot of things happening in my tarot reading. If you want to go watch that, watch part 2. Now we're in part 3. Me putting everything together. Okay? So hopefully you guys are catching up so far. I got a channel message. I did a tarot reading off camera. I continue on the tarot reading off camera. What I gather is that this is what I gathered. How everything happened. I believe the witnesses that the prosecutor had, they were all coerced and intimidated to give a testimony, a statement to accuse Corey Miller of murdering Stephen Thomas. They were all coerced and intimidated to do so. And I'm going to tell you why. The woman that was allegedly dancing with Stephen Thomas, which is the victim who was murdered, I believe she's a key factor in all this. Based off my tarot reading and based off another finding I found out during my research. Apparently, there is 30 concealed documents that the prosecutors have that Corey Miller believed that they have regarding a illegal, can I not speak? Illegal DNA document that disclosed that there was somebody else's DNA at the scene, at the club, the Harvey Club, who actually committed the crime. But the prosecutor never disclosed that. They never shared that with anyone. So that was very interesting as well. So not only is that interesting, that actually came out during my tarot reading. Because when I was doing my tarot reading, that's when I started to like do more research, right? And that's when I saw that. I'm like, oh, so this is all tied in together. I wanted to know why the prosecutors didn't. I'm going to leave it here, you guys. Part 2 coming up. Or part 4.